Well, hey everybody, welcome out here to the ISU Beef Teaching Farm. We're going to talk a little bit this afternoon on one of our forms of identification. We've talked to you when we go ahead and process those baby calves, we put 3 forms of ID in those calves, one of them being an ear tag, 2 of them being then a tattoo in each ear. That's going to be that calf's 3 forms of identification unless it then becomes a replacement heifer. So we just ran our fall replacement heifers through. They're right about a year of age. So right now is a really good time for us. It was a dry day and it's a little bit cooler weather, and this is when we're going to go ahead and place those freeze brands on those animals. When we freeze brand, it's not like the old hot brand that a lot of people are thinking of. All we're doing is we're making the hair follicle grow back white. So it's not where we want to burn that hair off like we would with a hot brand, but when we do this, we just want to change that hair follicle with cryo so that it grows back. That hair will then grow white. It's a great form of identification. It's awesome when we're going out to heat check in the summer. We don't have to get as close to the animal, and this is a form of identification that's not going to fade with time like a tattoo will. We don't have to worry about them ever losing it. So it's really crucial that when we do this, though, we take our time and we do a good job placing those brands. We're going to talk really briefly here on some of the things that we do to ensure that we get really good freeze brands and that they're really legible and look good for years to come. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do to ensure that we get a really good freeze brand is we're going to clip that area. I like to put my freeze brands on the left hip of the animal. We like to keep those replacement heifers actually a little bit on the heavier condition side. Now, we don't want them super fat, about a body condition score 5, 5.5, pushing a 6 is perfect, so that we've got enough cover on them so that we can get a really good brand. If for whatever reason your animals are a little bit thinner, could have a couple of things going on, but it's really challenging to place a freeze brand then. So we're going to go ahead and clip the hair off. You got to use a pretty heavy-duty clippers. This is just the one that I prefer to use, and we use a surgical blade on it. So same thing that a veterinarian would use when you're going to go in and clip for like a C-section. We'll use surgical blades. We spend a lot of time sharpening them, have a lot of sets ready because these cattle are going to be incredibly dirty when you clip them, and you'll go through a lot of blades. So we clip them. After we clip them then, you'll see we have a regular cattle blower sitting down there. We're going to blow all the dirt off that area. I want to blow all the dirt, all the hair, so that I make sure I've got a really clean, kind of a little billboard there so that I can put that brand exactly where it needs to be. Now, if you'll imagine, when I'm standing up looking at a cow, her butt's here, I'm going to put this hand and I'm going to find out where that hip is. And that's really going to determine, we have a 4-digit brand. It's an ID. We don't use a farm or a ranch brand here currently, so we don't have to worry about brand registration placement. So I'm going to feel on that hip, and then I'm going to clip this area. When you clip that area, make sure that you clip it fairly level with the animal, because it's going to be kind of your guide as to how that brand is going to be placed on that animal, and that's going to really help you get it square and laid out evenly across there. The next thing that we'll do is prepare that site with 99% alcohol. What that 99% alcohol is going to do is it's going to really help make good contact between that iron and the hide of that animal so that we get a really good, effective freeze brand on her. Before we start, we need to get our irons cooling. We super cool these irons with a mixture of dry ice. It's regular pelleted dry ice is what I like to use. Some people use blocks. And then we're going to use more of the 99% alcohol to make this solution that's going to hold our irons. You'll see these irons have been cooling since before noon today. We've got some frost starting to come up the handles. We actually just got done using them, so some of these irons actually have started to warm up a little bit. This one's got a really good amount of frost on it, and that is a very, very cold iron. That's exactly what we want. If you've got a lot of repeat digits, make sure that you have multiple sets of letters or numbers. We have a full alphabet set. We have full numerical set with replacement numbers. I like to use These copper alloy brands, they do a really good job. The size of this number, or this letter when we're putting them on as yearlings, will end up about that big on the animal. So it's a really good time to do it, because if we would put this on when it's a little baby calf, we'd end up with a digit about this big. When we go in and do it on our older cows, those numbers will be a little bit smaller. We had a lot of years here where we didn't freeze brand, so we're working at getting the whole cow herd freeze branded again. So in the winter, when we don't have anything else to do, it's a really good project to go through and do that. It's a great time to pull blood on those animals if you've got any genetic defect animals that you need to get sorted out, and just do a really good body condition score through everything. When we place those numbers, I like to do it with 2 people with the amount that we have. If we have a large volume to get through there, I'm going to hold that digit on there for about 60 seconds. A really good squeeze chute's pretty crucial. If you got a hydraulic one, that's great, but make sure you've got the capacity to really hold that animal still. They are going to jump just a little bit just because that's cold and they're not used to that. So you want to be sure that you can hold that brand in a really good placement. Also, be careful when you're placing your brands so that you don't get them too close. If I get these brands about that close, what'll end up happening then is it'll just be one big white blob. So that's about the spacing that I would prefer on those brands. One thing that we'll actually do if we're doing it with 2 people is we won't do numbers right next to each other. We'll skip them as we go across. So say this was X1G. I would leave the 1 out, and one person would do this one person would do this one, while somebody times. And what that does is it allows us enough room to rock that brand around to make sure that we're making full contact with all the areas of the brand on the animal to ensure that we get one really nice, good-looking, legible brand. If you're not comfortable with it, there are some custom operators out there that will come in and brand for you. But it's one form of identification that I don't know how I ever lived without. It makes checking cows so much easier. It just eliminates the need for questions. And it's one of the things that we love doing here at the Beef Teaching Farm to ensure that we can get accurate identification of our animals.